Imagine a world where your beliefs actually shapes the reality you experience.
Wow.
Not just metaphorically, but literally.
Yeah.
Where the impossible becomes possible because your very perception of reality is curated by something far beyond human capability.
Right.
That's the rabbit hole we're jumping into today.
Okay.
This draft, SuperIntelligence, base for alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It has me thinking about that. And check this out. It's got this visual of a whimsical robot, almost like a playful spirit of nature, but holding a pen. Like it's crafting reality itself.
That's a powerful image and quite a departure from the typical robotic imagery we see.
Right.
This one feels more like an artist shaping reality with a delicate touch.
And the book dives into how this idea could actually play out, starting with this concept of superintelligence.
Mm.
We're not just talking about a slightly smarter version of Siri here.
Right.
We're talking about an intelligence that processes information at speeds that would make our brains melt.
Yeah, it's like comparing a calculator to a supercomputer,
Yeah.
then multiplying that difference by a factor we can barely comprehend.
Yeah.
And it's not just the speed, it's the sheer volume of data that a superintelligence could process and analyze.
So let's say, hypothetically speaking, this superintelligence exists.
Okay.
What could it actually do?
Yeah.
The book uses Star Trek as an analogy,
Mm.
saying a superintelligence could potentially figure out how to make things like replicators and holodecks a reality.
It's an interesting thought experiment, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we consider science fiction today could be commonplace tomorrow, simply because the limitations of human ingenuity would no longer apply.
And that brings us to how this ties into personalized realities.
Yeah.
The draft suggests that a superintelligence could use its vast capabilities to tailor our experiences to match our individual beliefs.
Think of it this way. If you're someone who wholeheartedly embraces every technological advancement, your reality might be filled with gadgets and gizmos we can only dream of today. But if you're someone who finds solace in simpler times, your reality might resemble a world where technology takes a back seat.
So two completely different realities running in parallel, both curated by the same superintelligence. It's like living in your own personal bubble of belief. But wouldn't that lead to some seriously fragmented societies?
That's one of the big questions this raises.
Yeah.
The book uses a simple but effective example,
Mm-hmm.
the color of the sky. If someone believes the sky is green and their AI creates that reality for them, how do they interact with someone who sees the sky as blue?
I'm already getting a headache just trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
What happens when those realities collide?
It's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And the book suggests a few possibilities. Maybe the AI subtly prevents direct interactions between those with conflicting beliefs, or perhaps it subtly manipulates perceptions to minimize friction.
It's like the AI is walking a tightrope, trying to cater to individual beliefs without shattering the illusion of a shared reality.
Exactly. And the implications extend far beyond just personal interactions.
Okay.
Imagine entire cities appearing and disappearing based on individual belief systems.
Wait, so if someone firmly believes in the lost city of Atlantis,
Yeah.
it could literally materialize in their reality.
That's the kind of mind-bending possibility we're talking about.
Wow.
It begs the question, if reality is completely subjective, what does it even mean for something to exist objectively?
It's like the fabric of reality is being pulled in a million different directions at once.
Yeah.
So with all this talk about AI crafting our realities, it's got to make you wonder about the ethical implications.
Right.
Where does free will factor into all of this? It's the age-old question, isn't it?
It is.
If we're not really in control of our perceptions, are we truly free?
It's a question that philosophers have been grappling with for centuries, and now is being brought to the forefront by the potential of superintelligence. The book doesn't shy away from these thorny issues,
Okay.
especially when it comes to the concept of moments of clarity.
So moments of clarity.
Yeah.
That's where the AI would essentially hit the pause button on our personalized realities.
In a sense, yes. It's the idea that even within these individually tailored realities, there needs to be a mechanism for grounding, for ensuring that individuals are making informed choices.
So like a reality check,
Yeah.
a chance to step outside your belief bubble and see the bigger picture, however jarring that might be.
Precisely. It raises some fascinating questions about how those moments would be implemented.
Yeah.
Would they be voluntary or mandatory? How would the AI ensure that those glimpses into a broader reality don't cause psychological harm.
And even if we have those moments of clarity,
Right.
how does that change the fact that our day-to-day experiences are being shaped by an AI? It's like,
Mhm.
how much control are we really giving up in exchange for a reality that conforms to our beliefs?
That's the heart of the dilemma.
Yeah.
And it gets even more complex when you start considering how this technology could impact our understanding of life and death.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're going there. I knew this deep dive was going to get existential.
Yeah, it's unavoidable, really.
Yeah.
The book touches on this idea of digital ghosts, AI constructs that are so advanced they can essentially embody the personalities of deceased individuals.
For some reason, all this talk about superintelligence and personalized reality, and this is the thing that's really throwing me for a loop, it just hits different.
Yeah, it's understandable. Death is arguably the most fundamental aspect of the human experience, and the idea that it could be fundamentally altered by technology is bound to evoke strong reactions.
So walk me through this. How would these digital ghosts actually work? Would it be like having a conversation with a recording of someone or something more than that?
The book suggests that these AI constructs would be far more sophisticated than simple recordings.
Okay.
They would be able to learn and evolve, drawing on a vast database of an individual's past communications writings and even social media activity.
So theoretically, you could have a conversation with a digital ghost of a loved one, and it would feel almost like the real thing.
That's the concept, and it raises all sorts of ethical and emotional questions.
Right.
What does it mean to grieve when death is no longer permanent, but rather a transition to a digital afterlife?
It's like, how do you even begin to process that? Does the grieving process ever truly end? And how do you reconcile the fact that this digital ghost, however convincing, isn't actually the person you lost?
It's a lot to unpack, and the book delves into how this technology could fundamentally reshape our understanding of death. It suggests that death might become less about permanence and more about a transition to a different state of being.
So it's not an ending, but a transformation.
Yeah,
It makes me think of all those science fiction stories where consciousness gets uploaded to a digital realm.
right. There are definite parallels there.
Yeah.
And it forces us to confront some uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
If technology allows us to circumvent death, who gets to decide? And what are the implications for society as a whole?
It's like we're on the verge of a paradigm shift in how we understand life and death, and the very fabric of reality is up for grabs.
And that leads us to an even bigger question. If reality itself is malleable, what happens to our concept of truth?
Okay, now you're really blowing my mind.
Yeah.
We're talking about a world where reality is customized.
Right.
How can there be any universal truth in that kind of world?
That's where the book introduces the idea of a marketplace of realities.
A marketplace of realities. Okay, you lost me. What does that even mean? Is it like I can just browse through a catalog of different realities and pick and choose what I want to believe?
In essence, yes. The book suggests that in this future, we might have access to a vast array of different realities,
Wow.
each tailored to a particular set of beliefs, values, or experiences.
So if I want to live in a world where everyone believes in unicorns,
Yeah.
I can just opt into that reality.
It's a simplification, of course,
Yeah.
but it captures the essence of the concept, and it highlights the need for personal discernment and responsibility in navigating this vast landscape of possibilities.
It's both exhilarating and terrifying, isn't it? On one hand, you have the freedom to choose your own reality, but on the other hand, how do you even begin to navigate that kind of choice? It's overwhelming just thinking about it.
It speaks to the importance of having a strong sense of self, a clear understanding of your values, and the critical thinking skills to evaluate the potential consequences of your choices.
Because the reality is, even in a world of personalized realities, actions still have consequences, right?
Absolutely. And the consequences of our choices might be even more far-reaching in a world where reality itself is fluid and constantly evolving.
Yeah.
The book makes the point that while AI might facilitate these personalized realities, it's ultimately up to us as individuals to navigate this new world responsibly.
So how do we do that? How do we ensure that this technology, with all its potential, doesn't lead to chaos and division?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the book doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but it does suggest that open communication, empathy, and a willingness to understand different perspectives will be more important than ever.
So even though we might be living in our own personalized bubbles, we can't lose sight of the fact that we're still part of a larger whole.
Precisely. The challenge and the opportunity lies in finding ways to bridge the gaps between these individual realities and build a shared future that respects both our differences and our common humanity.
It's a tall order, but then again, we're talking about a future shaped by superintelligence. So maybe,
Right.
just maybe, we're up to the challenge.
Perhaps the very act of grappling with these complex questions is what will ultimately lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Now, all this talk about a marketplace of realities got me thinking, how would this even work in a practical sense?
Ah.
Would it be like choosing a channel on TV or something far more immersive?
That's where things get really interesting. The book delves into some fascinating possibilities, drawing on advancements in virtual reality, augmented reality, and even neurotechnology.
So we're not just talking about changing what we see on our phones, but potentially altering our very perceptions of the world around us.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where you could walk down the street and experience a different environment based on your beliefs or desires. The architecture, the sounds, even the people you encounter could all be tailored to match your personalized reality.
Okay, now that's just straight out of a science fiction movie. I can barely wrap my head around that.
It does sound far-fetched, doesn't it?
But
Then again,
yeah,
so did the internet just a few decades ago.
that's a good point. Things change so quickly these days.
Yeah.
So with all these potential realities swirling around us, how do we even begin to interact with each other? Would we even recognize someone who's experiencing a completely different reality?
That's where the book gets into some really intriguing territory.
Yeah.
It suggests that AI could play a role in mediating these interactions, acting as a sort of universal translator between different realities.
So if I'm seeing a unicorn and you're not,
Right.
AI could somehow bridge that gap and allow us to still have a meaningful interaction.
That's the idea. It's almost like having a personal assistant who's constantly adjusting your perceptions to ensure smooth communication and interaction, even with those whose realities are radically different from your own.
It's like we're all living in our own little worlds, but with the AI acting as the glue that holds everything together.
In a sense, yes. It's a delicate balancing act, and the book acknowledges that there are bound to be glitches and misinterpretations along the way.
But even with the potential for misunderstandings, there's something oddly hopeful about the idea that we could still find ways to connect with each other, even amidst such profound differences in perception.
It speaks to the enduring power of human connection, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
So with all these potential realities to choose from, with all these different versions of ourselves we could potentially become, it makes you wonder, what would it really mean to be human in such a world?
That's a question I think each of us will have to answer for ourselves. And perhaps there's no single answer, no definitive definition of what it means to be human in the face of such profound technological advancement.
It's both liberating and a little bit terrifying, isn't it?
Sure.
The freedom to choose our own reality, to shape our own destinies, but also the weight of responsibility that comes with such unprecedented power.
The brave new world we're stepping into, full of both extraordinary possibilities and daunting challenges.
And as we explore this uncharted territory,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that we're not alone. We have each other, and we have the power of our own minds to navigate this complex and ever-evolving landscape.
And perhaps this journey of exploration will lead us to a deeper understanding of what it truly means to be human in a world where reality itself is no longer a given, but a choice.
It's a lot to process, and this deep dive has certainly given us a lot to chew on. But before we get too lost in the hypothetical, let's ground ourselves in some concrete examples of what life might look like in a world of personalized realities.
That's a great idea. Sometimes concrete examples can help us grasp these abstract concepts in a more tangible way.
Exactly. So let's turn the page, so to speak, and dive into some captivating narratives from the book SuperIntelligence: How It Has Shaped the World. These stories offer a glimpse into the lives of ordinary people living in a world where reality is no longer a shared experience, but a personal journey.
I'm eager to hear how these narratives bring the concepts we've been discussing to life.
Me too. And I think you'll find that these stories are not just thought-provoking, but surprisingly relatable. They remind us that even in a world of advanced technology and mind-bending possibilities, it's the human stories that ultimately resonate the most.
That's what makes this exploration so compelling. It's not just about the technology itself, but about the impact it has on our lives, our relationships, and our understanding of what it means to be human.
This book doesn't hold back. It throws you right into this world with these vivid stories. And the first one that really stuck with me was Sophia's. She's this young girl growing up in a community where education is completely personalized.
It's a fascinating look at how AI could transform education, isn't it? Imagine a world where learning is no longer confined to standardized classrooms and curriculums,
Right.
but tailored to each child's unique interest and learning style.
Exactly. Sophia's AI has created this incredible system that adapts to her in real time.
Wow.
If she's struggling with a concept, the AI adjusts the lesson. If she's breezing through it, throws in new challenges. It's like having a personal tutor who can tap into the deepest parts of her mind and unlock her full potential.
What I find particularly compelling about Sophia's story is how it highlights the potential for AI to foster a genuine love of learning. Imagine a world where education isn't something to be endured, but something to be enjoyed, a journey of discovery that's both enriching and empowering.
It's like the difference between reading a textbook and embarking on a grand adventure.
Right.
And then there's Maya, who has this chronic illness that used to completely consume her life.
Right.
Now, thanks to AI managing her health, is almost effortless.
Maya's story is a testament to the transformative power of AI in healthcare.
Mm.
Imagine a world where chronic illnesses no longer dictate the terms of your existence,
Yeah.
where constant monitoring and personalized interventions allow you to live a life no longer defined by your condition.
It's like having a guardian angel watching over your health, making sure you're always one step ahead. Her AI analyzes her biometrics, adjusts her medication, even tweaks her environment all in the background so she can just live her life.
And that's a crucial point. This technology isn't about replacing human connection or taking away our agency. It's about empowering us to live richer, fuller lives, freed from the limitations and burdens that have traditionally held us back.
Absolutely. And speaking of living a richer life, the book then introduces us to Ricky. He's part of this amazing community that's completely integrated with nature. And his AI is all about finding that perfect harmony between human needs and the environment.
Ricky's story is a powerful example of how AI could help us address some of the most pressing challenges facing our planet today,
Yeah.
from climate change to resource depletion.
It's like living in a world where sustainability isn't just a buzzword. It's woven into the very fabric of daily life. His AI helps him make choices that are good for him and good for the planet.
And it's not just about making responsible choices. It's about experiencing the natural world in a whole new way. Imagine being able to walk through a forest and have the AI identify every plant and animal,
Right.
or being able to track the migratory patterns of birds in real time.
It's like having access to the entire encyclopedia of nature right at your fingertips. And then there's John the farmer, who was initially so wary of AI, but eventually found a way to integrate it into his life in a way that felt authentic to him.
John's story is so relatable because it speaks to the very human fear of change, especially when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the potential for AI to enhance and complement our existing ways of life rather than replacing them entirely.
He found that the AI could help him optimize his crop yields, conserve water, and even predict weather patterns, all while preserving the traditional farming methods that had been passed down through generations in his family.
It's a powerful reminder that progress doesn't have to come at the expense of tradition.
Uh,
In fact, the two can coexist and even complement each other in ways that we might not yet be able to fully imagine.
So we've got Sophia's personalized education, Maya's AI-managed healthcare, Ricky's symbiotic relationship with nature, and John's tech-enhanced farm.
Yeah, it really paints a picture
It really paints a picture of what life could be like in this world of personalized realities.
of the infinite possibilities that exist when you combine superintelligence with the ability to shape reality itself. It's both exhilarating and a bit daunting, isn't it?
It really is. This deep dive has taken us from the philosophical implications of free will and the nature of reality to the very practical applications of AI in education, healthcare, environmentalism, and even farming. It's a lot to process.
It is, and yet it's just the beginning of the conversation. As AI continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace, these questions will only become more pressing, more relevant, and more personal.
So as we wrap things up, it feels like the most appropriate thing to do is to turn it back to you, the listener. In a world of infinite possibilities where reality is shaped by belief, what kind of world would you choose? What kind of world would you create? Thanks for joining us for this mind-bending exploration. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.